Welcome to this session on wave characteristics and wave graphs. I am Dr. V.N. Sastry. So in this session we'll discuss about the basics of waves, which we have discussed earlier in a detailed fashion. Wave graphs of oscillatory and circular motion. Then wave characteristics. Then we'll discuss on the wave graphs in 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions. Then the transformation of coordinates in 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions, and the conclusions. So let's start with the basics. When we talk about waves, we know that wave is the flow pattern of energy propagation. Various examples: sound waves, light waves, heat waves, magnetic waves, electric and electromagnetic waves, mechanical waves, chemical waves, various examples that we have seen earlier. What are the various types of waves? It could be visible or invisible. It can be uniform or non-uniform, linear or non-linear, planar, which moves in a plane, or it can be in space. It can be periodic, which repeats, and non-periodic. It can be simple or combination of several waves which is superimposed. It can be original or fundamental, or it could be modulated, stationary or non-stationary. It could be transverse wave or longitudinal wave, which we'll see in the next slide. Waves basically interconnect the Panchabhutatma, the 5 cosmic elements of universe known as Bhagwan. Bha for Bhumi, Ga for Gagan, Va for Vayu, A for Agni, and N for Na for Neer. So these are the 5 elements, and the consciousness, that is the life which has the 6th sense, helps to sense all these through our 5 sensory organs. Skin helps to feel about touch. Ears help us to understand or listen to sounds. We have the nose to smell, eyes to see, vision, and tongue to taste. These are the 5 sensory organs which we have. Coming to the transverse waves, if we look at how the transverse waves propagate, in the direction of the wave, if you observe, the wave particles are moving perpendicular to the direction of the wave. This is called as transverse waves. On the other hand, if we look at the longitudinal waves, here the particles of the medium move in the direction of the propagation of the wave. We have seen also the wave equation, which we call as the Maxwell's wave equation, where it's a second order partial differential equation, del 2 xi del x square plus del 2 xi del y square plus del 2 xi del z square minus 1 by v square del 2 xi del t square is equal to 0, where v is the velocity of the wave and xi of xt, yt, zt, where x, y, z are position coordinates and t is time, is the energy on the wave at a given point of time t. The solution of this we have derived last time in a session, separate session, and we have observed that the solution of this second order partial differential equation is of the form xi is equal to x, y, z, t is equal to a into e to the power I omega t minus k1x minus k2y minus k3z plus phi. Since we know that from the complex numbers, e to the power I theta is cos theta plus I sin theta, so this expression can be expanded and written as a cos omega t minus k1x minus k2y minus k3z plus phi plus I times a into sine of omega t minus k1x minus k2y minus k3z plus phi. This is the waveform solution of the wave equation in space and time. So with these basics, let's now look into the wave graphs of oscillatory and circular motion. If we look at this graph, the object is moving in a horizontal fashion, and if you observe, the direction of movement of the object is because of the springs, two springs which are tied on both sides. So as it is pulled by the spring on the other side, it is moving in that particular direction. And if we want to see what is the graph of this particular motion, which we call as the horizontal oscillation or vibration, first one has to observe the distance of the center of the object from the mean position 0 at different time instances in proportion. It is moving from 0 to say unit length 1, and on the other side it is 0 to minus 1. So it's oscillating between these two extremes, minus 1 to plus 1. So we have to observe the distance at different time instances and collect this data corresponding to time and distance observed over a fixed period. Then plot the graph of this. So let's see how we draw this graph. So this is a graphical sheet of Excel. Now if we want to draw the graph of this, we need to plot time and distance. So let's write time and distance. So at time, say we want to take 1, 2, 3 and so on. So in Excel you have to drag this over a given period of time. Say 20 instances we want to, 20 seconds or 20 units of time we want to plot the graph. Then the distance, say it could be 0.1, 0.2 and so on. So if we take these two and pull this bar here for the 20, we don't have to write for everything. Then we get here. So this is also 20 we have to take. So if we take these two and draw this, sorry, if we take these 3 and draw this, we'll get. So this is the distance which we have measured. If we want only to go up to distance 1 unit, then we can skip this and remove this, or we delete this. So with this 10 units, 10 instances of time, distance has been up to 1. Then again it comes down. So from 1 it may be again coming to 0.9, 0.9, 0.8 and so on. So it's coming down, and few more. Yeah. One more. So it has come to 0. Right. So initially it has moved at 1 unit of time. Its position was at 0.1, then 0.2, 0.3, like that. It has gone up to 1 unit. Then it has started coming down again, sliding to the other side. It has come to the 0 position. Again, it's going to increase on the left hand side. So its position will be minus 0.1, minus 0.2, and so on. So this is going to continue till it is minus 1. Okay, again from here it starts moving towards the other side. So it will be minus 0.9, minus 0.8, and so on. So if we draw this, you will see again it is coming to 0. Right? So it started from 0 and started increasing from 0 to 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 1, then coming down to 0, going to the negative, again increasing and reaching to this. So if we see the time period up to this, then these observations we can, up to this. So in 40 units of time, we have seen it has completed one oscillation. So time versus distance. One could have observed also, not necessarily like this. It could be 0.2, 0.4, like that, up to 1, then again decreasing, again going to the negative side, and so on. That's how one can record this time versus distance. Now if you want to plot the graph of this, go to insert, and there is this graph symbols is there, 2D graphs. So what we have to take is, we have to take the data corresponding to this. So if we select the data, so in the selection of the data, we have to take what is the y-axis data first. So up to this, that's our y-axis. Here this is your x-axis data, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. That's what we have taken is correct only. Right? So if you observe here, it is up to 40, that is fine. So if we take these two, we'll get the graph of this. This is the plot of the graph for instances, time instances, and this is the distance. Now if you want to change the title, you want to insert anything, so you have various things here: access, data labels, data table, etc., grangles, etc. You want to change also the style or color of the graph, or you want to do any other things, all that is available here. One can try and experiment to get the good insight of this. You can also color these two, for example, the way we have done here. So we have taken, say, time instances 0 when its position was 0, when it is 1 its unit distance was, let me increase this to get. So if we continue like this, it has increased, then come down to 0. On the negative side, it has gone to -1. Again, it has increased and come to 0 for 20 observations. This is how we get the graph. And you can, these titles I have put, accordingly one can experiment and put the graphs Similarly for vertical direction, if you want to see, you can plot the graphs and get something like this. You can change up to which range you want to show. You can do a lot of things based on this. Okay, so let me go back to this. So what we have observed is how to plot the graph corresponding to the horizontal oscillation. Now let us see the graph that we got is like this, graph of horizontal oscillation. So you have time axis, x-axis is time axis, y-axis is the distance. So it has gone from 0 height up to 1, then it started decreasing, came to 0 position, again it has started going into the negative direction up to -1, then it started increasing and going up to 0. So this is what you call as what? One complete cycle. Let's see the vertical vibration. So time, similarly, we observe how this pendulum is vibrating, or the spring is vibrating in a vertical direction. So we have time instances versus the height. So height 0 initially, when time was 0, its height was 0. When time was 1 second or 1 unit of time, its height was 0.1 and so on. So this is, it has been recorded. And if we draw the graph of this, it looks like this. So time versus your height. It has gone up, come down, again coming down and increasing. This is what you call as your vertical oscillation of one cycle. Let's look at the angular motion and the harmonic motions. So you can see the rotations, partial rotations, not complete rotation, partial rotations in the swing or moving your head or moving the body or in a pendulum also. It oscillates between two extreme points of angle minus theta to plus theta over the fixed point. Similarly for rotation of bodies or rotation of this gramophone recorder or even earth, all these examples tell us the rotation of a body about its axis. If you want to plot the graph of this, we can see how it can be done. Similarly, if we observe the revolution of objects around an axis, rotation was about a point or it's spinning over its own axis, whereas revolution is about an object or around an object or around a fixed axis. So these examples of cycling or in a giant wheel or through the hand you rotate an object tied with the rope, or in the solar system the revolution of various planets, planetary motion, what you can see. These are all revolutions. If we want to see how these revolutions, how these vibrations, etc. can be put forth in a graphical manner, we need to establish the relationship. Now if you observe this body, blue object moving around a fixed point is the circle here, of the center of the circle here, which is shown red. So the body is moving around this, and there is some line as a reference line for us to measure, right? So if we take this as x-axis and vertical axis as y-axis, then this point P, whose position is at x comma y at time t. So this is the point P. If you join this line OP, so its position of the body, blue body, was at green position at time t, and it's now moving. Okay, so the distance from O to P is your vector r, or r distance, which is the radius, and the angle is theta. So as it is moving, the theta is slowly increasing, okay, and then coming back to 360, again 0 to 360, like that it is rotating. So if you drop a perpendicular from that P point on the x-axis, which is Q, and this height is your y. So PQ is y and OQ is x. So if you observe, as the point is green point is moving, the blue representing the blue, then the x, that is the distance of the foot of the perpendicular from the origin O, this distance, this is changing. So x is in this triangle, this is r, this is theta, so x is r cos theta, which is OQ here. So as point P is moving, this distance is changing. What is the range it is changing? It's changing from plus r here, going to minus r, again increasing, coming to plus r. So in between minus r to plus r, the x point, the x distance is changing. So if we plot the graph of this at different angles, so theta at different times, means we observe initially it was 0 degree, that means on the x-axis point P was here, so cos 0 is 1, so its position was here. When it started moving, so it has gone from 0 to pi by 4 or 90 degrees. When it has gone to 90 degrees, this angle has become 90 degrees. So cos 90 is 0, so it has become this point, and so on. So time versus the x in angles, if we measure, then this is the plot. So r, which is the radius r, if we take as 1, when t is equal to 0, then theta is 0 and cos 0 is 1, so x is equal to 1. Now if you take, instead of this, a perpendicular PR on the y-axis, then this distance, this is y and this is your x. So y is now varying. So if this point, if you observe, this point is also vibrating or oscillating in the y-axis. So this foot of the perpendicular on both the axes, either Q or R, both are vibrating in the range between minus R to plus R. And this y is equal to R sin theta. This height is y is equal to R sin theta, which is equal to this. So as point P revolves in a circle, its shadow in x and y direction oscillates in between minus R to plus R. So plotting now the 2D graphs of cosine and sine waves. Let's see how to draw this. Although many of you know, but it's good to learn how to draw this using the spreadsheet through the Excel. So what is important is your angle theta. So theta angle is there. Now you have to convert into radians. Then take the cos of the radian value. So theta angle, so initially it was 0. What is the radian of this? You have to convert this into, say, 30 degree, 60 degree, and so on. So if we take this, go up to 360 degrees, then we get something like this. Corresponding radians we have to take. So there are two ways. One is you consider the radian function itself, or this is equal to then A2, we press, it computes this. Similarly here, put equal to radians of A3, position A3, press enter. Now I take these two and pull on up to this, so you get the radians. Now if you want to take the cosine of this, put equal to cos of the corresponding angle, which is B2 here. B2, press this, you will get as 1. So 2 times we have to write, and then drag cos of B3. We get this. So now we take these two and pull, same formula is applied. So these are the values of the cosine function corresponding to 0 to 360 degree. Now if you want to plot the graph of this, go to insert, choose this function wherein you have 2D and 3D graphs. So let us take the simple graph like this. So this is between -1 to +1. Alright. If you want to change this range, you select the data. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, we want to plot against the theta. So say edit and choose this data, which is one from 360 degree, and say OK. So we see x-axis is between 0 to 360 degree, and this is the y function. Y is equal to various things, and see the graph corresponding to whatever function we may like to plot. For example, in this case, we get function like this. We have changed cosine wave also, plotting angle, radians. Now instead of 0 to 360, now we have taken from -720 going up to 0 and then again increasing. So -72 plus 70 in between 0. So if we plot the graph of this, we get cosine function like this. Cosine function like this. Okay, so cosine, sine function, sine waves, all that we can plot. And how we get? We get something like this. Cos theta function, as we have seen, corresponding to the degrees converted into radians. We can also use this formula. So degree into pi function, pi within brackets, nothing inside the bracket, divided by 180 degree. Because we know that 2 pi radians is equal to 360 degrees. So pi radians is 180 degrees. So based on that, now cosine of this radians is computed. Corresponding plots are made. This is how we can draw the graph of cosine function. Similarly, cosine wave, that means over the long range, instead of 0 to 360 degree, we have taken -72 plus 720. And this axis we have separately drawn to see what is the range between which it is varying. So cosine sine functions, they vary between -1 to +1. Similarly, the graph of sine function. So if you observe in this graph, what we have seen, this y-axis, along y-axis, it is vibrating between -1 to +1. Okay, that's what we are seeing here. When a body is rotating, you see its shadow on the y-axis is ranging between, varying between -1 to +1. That's how we get the sine functions. So plotting the various degrees, corresponding radians, and the sine theta, correspondingly we get this sine function. Similarly, sine wave over a given range, say from -72 plus 70 degrees plus 720 degrees. So degrees, radians, sine theta. So we have now discussed about wave graphs on account of oscillations, whether it is horizontal or vertical oscillation, or rotation in a circular way, or it could be also elliptic way, or revolution in a circular or elliptic way. Correspondingly, we have seen how the graphs can be obtained. The wave characteristics, now let's look at. In wave characteristics, we talk about cycle, time period t, wavelength lambda, amplitude A, frequency F, wave speed is V, angular velocity is omega, phase angle is phi. Let's understand what we mean by these various characteristics. So cycle in a circular way, if you observe, it completes, we know it's completing one cycle. The body started here, it has come back to its original position, again it is moving. Here, if you observe, it has gone up, the curve, nature of the height, what we observed, it's called as one cycle between two successive points. Similarly, if you observe time and position, it has started, gone up, come down, again come back. So in the same direction and movement, it has completed one cycle. So what is cycle? A cycle is a one complete rotation or oscillation. It is 360 degrees or 2 pi radians. In terms of distance, one full cycle is measured from rarefaction to rarefaction, or compression to compression, or crest to crest, or trough to trough on a wave, as we can see in the graph, or in real wave compressions or rarefactions, we can observe what is called as one cycle. Time period. What is time period? It is the total time taken to complete one full cycle. So it started here, gone up, come down, again come here. So this is one cycle. Or if you observe from here, time taken from same position when it reaches, same phase, same state when it reaches, this distance is called as your time period. Please remember, it is not this distance, it is the time taken. The unit is time. Similarly for compressions or rarefactions, same way, observe here A is B. So similar things are there, so time taken between these two. This is also, so if you observe from A, it has gone up and again same state it has reached. So this is called as your time period. For a wave, it is measured by the time taken from rarefaction to rarefaction, or compression to compression, or crest to crest, or trough to trough. Its unit is seconds. A second's hand, if you observe in a clock, it takes 60 seconds to complete one cycle. So its time period is 60 seconds. Whereas for a minute hand, because that moves slower than the second's hand, it is 60 minutes. That means 60 into 60, that is 3600 seconds. It takes longer time to complete one cycle. So the time period for minute's hand is much higher than the time period for seconds hand. Stop clock is useful to measure the time period by recording the start and end event times. Average time period is obtained by taking the mean of readings of multiple observations. What's wavelength? So if you observe here on x-axis and y-axis, right, the distance for one complete cycle traveled on the axis, shortest distance, okay. So if you observe here, the wave has moved. This is the wavelength. So what is wavelength? Wavelength is the distance traversed by the wave to complete one cycle. It indicates how far the wave energy travels in one complete cycle of oscillation. It is the shortest distance from one point to the next identical point. So remember, it's not this distance, it is this distance, right? Shortest distance for the two similar states in the completion of one cycle. Wavelength is the length of one complete wave or cycle that is measured from crest to crest or trough to trough. It's represented by lambda. Its unit is in meters. In 5G wireless communication, we observe that these waves have wavelength which is called as millimeter waves. They are very short waves, have 1 millimeter to 10 millimeters, that means 1 centimeters. Waves having large, medium and short wavelengths. So here observe on the top you have wavelength which is high. So you can observe how it looks like. If there is in between medium waves, the geometry is what we have seen. In the short waves, this is the short waves. So you can observe how the geometry of the waves will be as the wavelengths are changing from smallest to the largest. Let's look at the amplitude. Amplitude is the displacement from the resting position to the highest or the lowest point. So this is the resting position. From there, how much height it has gone up. This height is called as your amplitude. It could be also on the downward side, right? So the range of the height, if you observe positive or negative, that height itself is called as your amplitude. Amplitude determines how much energy the wave has. It is the measure of intensity of the wave. High tides of sea waves have high amplitude. If you observe, the greater the amplitude, louder the sound will be. So amplifiers are used in live programs to raise the amplitude for enabling music to be heard by people who are sitting far away. It's measured in meters. Frequency is the number of cycles per unit time. It specifies how many complete vibrations are occurring at a given time. The unit of frequency is 1 Hz. So one cycle it has completed in 1 second. If there is a body which can complete one cycle in 1 second, it's called as 1 Hz. Okay, so here you observe this is 1 Hz, this is 4 Hz. So it completes in 1 second 4. This is 6 Hz. In 1 second it's completed 6. So like that we can observe the frequency. If an object completes one cycle in a second, its unit is 1 Hz. Normal movement of eyelids and heart rate is approximately between 1 to 1.5 Hz. Some waves or objects have frequency range up to kilohertz, which is 1000 Hz, or megahertz, which is 1000 kilohertz, or gigahertz, which is 1000 megahertz. Mobile phone signals received from cell towers are in the range of 0.9 MHz to 1 GHz. Many mobile phone and laptops have 2.54 GHz to 6 GHz, which is called sub-gigahertz frequency or clock speed of the processors. Oscilloscope is used to measure the frequency. So frequency, which is represented by f, is the inverse of time period. So frequency is cycles by time. How many cycles it is taking? Suppose this object started here and it takes say 4 seconds to complete one cycle. So 4 seconds in 1 second. So its time period is t. Frequency is 1 by t, that is 1 by 4. If frequency increases, then time period decreases and vice versa. Frequency is inversely proportional to the wavelength. Frequency is equal to the velocity of wave divided by the wavelength. Revolutions per minute is an indicator of frequency of rotation of a wheel. Turing forks and strings have fixed frequency. If you tap that, it gives you with that frequency. Every organ works under its own normal and limited range of frequency, which is there in our body. Every organ has some frequency of normal function. Wave speed and angular velocity. Wave speed is the rate at which the wave travels through a particular point. The speed of wave depends on the properties of the medium it traverses through, such as the type of material, elasticity, tension, density, temperature, etc. So wave speed is equal to wavelength into wavelength divided by the time period, or it's equal to the frequency multiplied by the wavelength. Angular velocity omega is angle turned or angle rotated by the divided by the time taken. So theta is equal to omega t. If you cross multiply this omega and t, So theta will be equal to omega t. Sometimes we also write k theta is equal to capital theta, and this k in that case will represent the frequency. Linear or tangential velocity is the angular velocity into the radius of the circle. So in a circle, if some body is moving with velocity angular velocity omega with a radius r, then the tangential direction, its velocity can be your omega into r. Phase angle. Phase angle, or it's also called as your phase difference, is the angular difference between the starting points at initial time. So it is expressed in degrees and lies between 180 and plus 180 degrees. So if there are two bodies, say A and B, A has started here at time t, its position was 0, it started and moving. The point B would have started here, right? So when it is equal, when it is reaching here, it looks as if it started from here. So the phase difference can be either lagging or leading. This can easily be understood if you have observed in playgrounds or running tracks, in circular running tracks. If you draw a radial line, then all people starting will not stand on the same radial line if they have to complete the circle. What happens? Somebody stands on the radial line, others may be standing behind or ahead of the person on the radial line. So that's called as the phase difference. So it can be lagging. Phase refers to a wave that occurs behind another wave of the same frequency, or it can be leading phase, which refers to a wave that occurs ahead of another wave of same frequency. When two signals differ in phase by minus 90 or plus 90 degrees, they are said to be in phase quadrature. So let's see the relations and formulas. So radian is 180 degree divided by pi, or 360 degree is equal to 2 pi radians, 2 pi r. Okay, so a radius, a circle with one radius gives you 2 pi r. So it rotates. It shows the relationship between degrees and the length, arc length. Relation between, so a body moving in a circle of radius 1 unit completes this much radians. Relation between subtended angle and circumference of a circle of unit radius. So it tells what is the relationship between the subtended angle and the circumference. Frequency is equal to 1 by time period, or f is equal to 1 by capital T. Time period is 1 by frequency. So it's just cross multiplying, we get time period is equal to 1 by frequency, or T is equal to 1 by f. Wave number is 1 by wavelength, or it can be also represented as k is equal to 1 by lambda. Wave velocity is frequency into wavelength, or it can be written as c is equal to f into lambda, or equal to lambda by time period t, where c is this much, 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters per second, which is the speed of light. Angular velocity omega is theta by t, the angle moved or turned divided by the time taken, or theta is equal to k into small theta, which is equal to omega into t. The speed of a wave in a uniform medium is not affected by the change in the wavelength or frequency of the wave. However, when the medium changes, the speed also changes. The speed of these waves are dependent upon the properties of the medium. As the wavelength of a wave in a uniform medium increases, its frequency will decrease. The wave with the greatest frequency has the shortest wavelength. Relationships. Energy E or psi is the ability to move or cause change in the state of matter which is transmitted in the form of waves. E is equal to h into f. H is to c by lambda, where c is the speed of light and h is the Planck's constant, which is expressed in this units, joules, seconds. Size, which is the energy here, psi of xyz t is equal to a into e to the power I omega t minus k1x minus k2y minus k3z plus phi, which is represented as a cosine of this plus I into a sine of the same, where a is the amplitude here, omega is the angular velocity, t is time, omega t is the theta angle, omega t is the angle, or it can be also written as k theta. This phi is the phase angle, k1, k2, k3 corresponding to the coefficients of the xyz components of the wave. They are the scaling factors along the axis. So these characteristics is what we are going to see through the graphs. So we have so far discussed about the characteristics. Now let's see the graphs in 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions. So the graph of sine k theta. So we have drawn the graphs sine theta, then sine 2 theta, sine 10 theta, etc. So as the k value is increasing, okay, so how is the nature of graphs? So sine theta, which is the orange line, which is the graph of sine theta, y is equal to sine theta. That is one cycle from 0 to 360 degrees. Now see sine 2 theta, which is this orange line, yellow line is this. So it has completed 2 times between 0 to 360 degree, right? In this one, sine 10 theta, so 60 degree. So it's moving faster. So it shows the frequency, how fast it is moving as k is increasing. Now let's see when k is fractions. So sine theta is y is equal to sine theta is this orange line, orange curve. Y is equal to sine theta by 2 is your yellow curve. So what we see, this has completed one cycle in 360 degrees, whereas sine theta by 2 completed only half of that, and sine theta by 3, which is green line, it has completed only 1/3 of that. Now let's see the graphs of sine theta minus phi, where phi belongs to 0 to phi is the phase angle. So this yellow color is the sine theta minus pi by 2. So sine theta means it started with 0, whereas sine before that 90 degree it has started here. So at the time t is equal to 0, it's here instead of starting. So difference is 90 degrees here, theta minus pi by 2. Sine theta minus pi by 3, if you look at, this is the green line, it started from this point. Sine theta minus pi by 5, if you look, it is this angle, so it started from here. So this gives us what is the effect of the phase angle. Now let's see another scenario where sine theta plus phi, where phi ranges between 0 to 92. So sine theta is here plus pi by 2, sine theta plus pi by 2. So when you add by phase of plus pi by 2, you observe that it will start here instead of starting from here. The cosine function starts from here. When t is equal to 0, it starts from here and it goes on and comes up like this. Whereas if it is sine theta plus pi by 3, the green line, it starts here and goes like this. If it is sine theta plus pi by 5, then this is the red line which is shown here. So this is how one can draw the various graphs and understand visualize, get insight about what is actually happening in them. This graph tells you how the graphs of waves are changing on account of the various parameters. So if you change the amplitude, the height is changing. If you change the wavelength, the time period is changing. If you change the phase angle, where it starts is getting changed. All this we can observe from the graph. We can also learn this or experiment ourselves by drawing the graphs through the spreadsheet. Let's see that. So here we have already drawn some of the graphs corresponding to degrees, radians, x in radians. Same thing, these two are same. Only here we have used radian formula, here we have used pi relationship. Multiplied by pi by 180 gives same things, these are same. Sine function, and this is a sine omega t minus kx plus pi, which is actually the generalized wave equation in the x coordinates frame of reference. Okay. We have not taken y and z, that means y and z are taken as 0. So it's moving in the x direction, the wave is moving in the x direction with angular velocity, with an amplitude a, angular velocity omega, time t, k is the frequency, x is the distance, and phi is the phase. So this is how we are trying to draw the graph corresponding to these varying parameters. So this is, if you change the parameter, the amplitude from 1 to say 5 units. Instead of 1, we change this. So the amplitude, you can see the yellow graph, orange graph, the height has gone up to here. So the wave is moving much higher. So if you put more thrust on the wave, it goes up and down. As you will see in the tsunami cases where it goes up to several meters high. So much energy is there. This is, this is the angular velocity. So instead of 1, suppose you put it as 3, you will see the corresponding change. Instead of time t, you put as 4 seconds or 4 units of time. This is how, and omega into t is your this theta angle. So how much is it is changing is reflected. This is a dependent variable. K is your frequency. So instead of 5, if you suppose put 8, see the effect of that, how many times it is moving. Theta angle, phase angle, instead of 0, you put as 30 degree or 90 degree, you can see where it starts. Okay, so these all changes we can observe by simple Excel graphs to get an insight of the effect of these parameters on the waves. So we have seen the wave graphs in 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions. Now let's look at the transformation of coordinates in 2D and 3 dimensions. Transformation of coordinates. Transformation of coordinate axis can be translation or shift to any new origin, keeping the axis parallel. It could be rotation about the axis at the same origin in anti-clockwise or clockwise direction. Both translation and rotation at a new origin. Coordinate axis of Cartesian frame of reference can be in 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions. In 2D, rotation of axis in a plane can be for an angle about the origin. In 3D, rotation of axis in space can be of 3 types. One, for an angle alpha about the x-axis, or it can rotate about an angle with an angle beta about y-axis, or it can also rotate about the z-axis with an angle gamma. So transformation of coordinate frames of reference is useful to, one, simplify the representation of a function or object. So if a complex function is there, you can represent in a simple way by change of the coordinate frame of reference. Viewing an object from multiple positions. If you want to see an object from multiple positions, that means you are changing your coordinate positions. Scaling up or down or zooming in or zooming out, shearing and reflection of an object under view. All these operations can be done through the transformation of coordinates. Global and local views also you can observe. One is global view is from a distant point, local view is on the object itself, you are seeing from its perspectives. So all these are very important for the through the transformation of coordinate frames of reference. Let's look at that. 2D coordinate transformation, that is translation. So there is a coordinate frame of reference xy with origin O. We have moved this parallel, keeping the axis parallel from here to here. So new origin is O dash, its position is AB. That means this distance is A, this distance is B. So this is x dash, y dash axis. Let any point P in xy coordinate frame of its coordinates suppose are xy, and with respect to this coordinate frame its coordinates are x dash, y dash. So the two are equivalent. P xy is coordinate of this point x and y with respect to this frame of reference, and this point P has coordinates x dash, y dash with respect to this coordinate frame of reference. Both are same, equivalent. So if you drop a perpendicular from point P on the original x-axis, it suppose intersects at the point M, and it intersects at the point N on the new axis. Then this distance O dash N is x dash, O N is y dash, and this height is your B. This height, this distance OM is your x, OQ is A, QM is B. So x can be written as this distance from O to M is your x. O to M can be broken into OQ plus QM. So QM is O dash N, which is x dash, and OQ is A. OQ is A distance, so this becomes x dash plus A. Similarly, y is equal to PM. Y is equal to PM can be written as Pn plus Nm. Pn plus Nm. So Pn is y dash and Nm is O dash Q. O dash Q is B, so y dash plus B. So x is x dash plus A, y is y dash plus B. So this is the transformation of translation, which is given by this vector xy is equal to x dash plus A and y dash plus B. This is, if you take the subtract it, you get x dash y dash as x minus A, y minus B vector. Now let's see the rotation of coordinate axis. So if we take this coordinate axis xy with center with origin O and we rotate this by an angle theta. So the new axis becomes xy in x1, xy coordinate frame of reference has coordinates p x dash y dash in the new frame of x dash y dash coordinates. So if we drop a perpendicular from P to this axis which intersects at M, and if you drop a perpendicular from this on the new axis, right, which is N, then as this is your theta angle, this is your 90 minus theta, because this angle is 90 degrees. So 90 minus theta, this is 90 minus theta, hence this is theta. So if you drop perpendicular from this on this line, that is NR, and from this on the x-axis, that is NS. Now let's see what is x. X is OM. Okay, this is the distance OM. OM can be represented as OS minus MS. OS is your this triangle if you consider. ONS, then OS is ON cos theta, ON cos theta, and MS is RN equal to RN. So ON cos theta is X dash cos theta, and RN is RN. Is if you take this triangle, as this is angle theta, so this becomes perpendicular, perpendicular by hypotenuse, so that is sin theta. So perpendicular is your Pn sin theta, which is X dash cos theta minus Y dash sin theta. Similarly, Y is equal to PM. This is Y. It can be written as MR plus RP. MR plus RP. MR is NS and RP is your, if you take this triangle, this is base, this is hypotenuse. So base will be equal to, this is Y dash. So Y dash, this is theta. So NS is ON sin theta, which we got, and PN is your Y dash cos theta. Okay, PN is your Y dash cos theta. So X dash sin theta plus Y dash cos theta. So the rotation can be represented in a matrix form as xy is equal to cos theta minus sin theta cos theta, this matrix multiplied by vector xy, x dash y dash. Or if you take the inverse, then this becomes x dash y dash is minus cos theta sin theta minus cos theta xy. By this transformation, any curve if xy or y is equal to fx in xy axis plane will take the form f x dash y dash, or y dash is equal to f x dash with respect to the new x dash y dash axis. Coordinate transformation, rotation and translation combined. So instead of just taking rotation only or translation only, if we are combining both of them together, we get a relationship or transformation like this. Xy vector is equal to, column vector is equal to matrix cos theta minus sin theta cos theta multiplied by the vector x dash y dash plus this AB, which is the coordinate of the new center, which can be represented in a little higher dimensional matrix as xy1 as cos theta minus sin theta A sin theta cos theta B 0 0 1 and multiplied by x dash y dash column vector and 1 x dash y dash 1. Similarly, for the other one, if you take x dash y dash and represent in terms of xy, then the same thing, only the corresponding matrix has got inversed. Then similarly this, when we represent on the right hand side of this by this, so this becomes equal to minus cos theta sin theta minus cos theta minus A minus B 0 0 1, this multiplied by x by 1. So in 3D space, any particular object can have 6 degrees of freedom to move. 3 translation, front, back, left, right, up, down, as shown here, or it can have 3 rotational degrees, which is called as roll, pitch and yaw. So if you are moving, if you are walking front and back, that is the x direction in front of the nose. If you are moving sideways on the left or right, that is your y-axis. And if you are going up and down like in a lift, that is the z-axis. If we rotate about the x-axis, that is roll. If we rotate about the y-axis, that is pitch. And if we rotate about the z-axis, that is yaw. So this is very common terminology in the flight simulation uh, or in the aerial systems, aerial vehicles. 3D coordinate transformation, which is translation. Let the 3D XYZ Cartesian coordinates axis be shifted parallel to themselves to the new origin O dash. So this is your X, Y and Z axis with the center, with the origin O. This has been moved, keeping them axis parallel to itself to a new origin O dash ABC. So let any point P whose coordinates are X, Y, Z with respect to this be represented with coordinates X dash, Y dash, Z dash in the new frame of reference, which is due on account of translation or shifting. So the transformation of translation is given by X, Y, Z as this vector X dash plus A, Y dash plus B plus Z and Z dash plus C. That means X is equal to X dash plus A, Y is equal to Y dash plus B and Z is equal to Z dash plus C. Or in the new coordinates X dash, Y dash, Z dash can be written as X minus A, vector X minus A, Y minus B and Z minus C. If we take the 3D coordinate transformation as rotation, so unlike in 2 dimensions where there is only one rotation, angle theta, which we have seen, whereas in 3 dimensions we have 3 possible angles of rotation of axis along x-axis, y-axis and z-axis respectively, which are known as roll, pitch and yaw. Suppose this is your x-axis, this is y-axis, this is z-axis, then a body can move in this direction or in this direction, clockwise or anti-clockwise. In the y direction also it can move, or both clockwise and anti-clockwise, and z direction also clockwise and anti-clockwise. So in rotation you have 3 possible angles through which it can rotate. If we assume that these angles are alpha, beta and gamma along x-axis, y-axis and z-axis respectively, and let the transformations be denoted by Rx alpha, Ry beta and Rz gamma. So rotation by an angle gamma about z-axis in 3 dimensions is same as rotation of theta angle in xy plane in 2 dimensions. So they have correspondence which may be observed. So in 3D coordinate transformation, rotation, if we keep the axis rotated by angle alpha, beta and gamma, here we have taken specific example to illustrate, then the Rx alpha can be written as cos alpha matrix cos alpha minus sin alpha 0, sin alpha cos alpha 0, 0, 0, 1. Okay, this matrix is the rotation matrix when the axes are rotated about x-axis by an angle alpha. Similarly, if the axes are rotated by an angle beta about the y-axis, then this is the corresponding matrix cos beta 0, sin beta 0, 1, 0, minus sin beta 0, cos beta. And if it is rotated about the z-axis by an angle gamma, we get the rotation matrix as 1, 0, 0, 0 cos gamma minus sin gamma, 0 sin gamma cos gamma as the matrix. So if we combine now, instead of rotation and translation doing separately, if we combine, then the 3D combined transformation T of rotation in the alpha beta order, alpha beta gamma order, and translation to a new origin O dash ABC would be T R alpha beta gamma plus ABC, where R alpha beta gamma is R X alpha Ry beta into R Z gamma. These 3 matrices multiplied together will result in this matrix cos alpha cos beta, cos alpha sin beta sin gamma minus sin alpha cos gamma, cos alpha sin beta cos gamma plus sin alpha sin gamma, sin alpha cos beta, sin alpha sin beta sin gamma plus cos alpha cos gamma, sin alpha sin beta cos gamma minus cos alpha sin gamma, and third row is minus sin beta cos beta sin alpha, sin gamma, cos beta, cos gamma. So this matrix is the resultant of the combined rotation on account of alpha, beta and gamma. In this order, if we are rotating, then we get this as the transformation. And the object, the point P, will look from this as xyz, from this as x dash y dash z dash with the rotated axis. So let's understand about the longitude and the latitude. So longitude is the vertical lines through the poles, two poles. This is your prime meridian. As we can see here, this is the prime meridian. On the latitude side, you have horizontal lines. So the equator is the main latitude, main line, main circle. Then you have Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, then Arctic Circle, and the two poles. So longitude varies between 0 to 180 degrees east or west. Latitude varies from 0 to 90 degrees north or south. And altitude, which is the height from the center or measured from the surface of the earth in meters or kilometers from the ground or mean surface level of earth. So India has the longitude varying from 68 degrees 7 minutes east to 97 degrees 25 minutes east, and latitude from 8 degrees 4 minutes north to 37 degrees 6 minutes north, and altitude from the sea level 0 meters to 8,586 meters altitude. So this is what India's longitude, latitude and altitude ranges. So we have seen the transformation of coordinates in 2D and 3D. Let's now conclude. So we have seen how to draw the graphs of horizontal and vertical oscillations by observing the time and distance. We have noted that when a body moves in a circle on a plane, spins or revolves about an axis in space, in a circular or in an elliptic orbit, its foot or shadow on the axis or on the plane of the axis oscillates in a straight line. It shows the relationship of circular and linear motion. We have learned how to draw the graphs of cosine and sine waves in 2 dimensions using spreadsheet like MS Excel. We have discussed about the various characteristics of waves such as amplitude, frequency, time period, wavelength, phase angle, etc. and also understood the significance of those through the various graphs. We have observed the relationship between the characteristic parameters of waves and seen the effect of changes in the parameters in 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions through the graphical plots. We have derived and seen the transformation of coordinate axis in 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions in terms of translation, rotation and combined translation and rotation. It is useful to observe. It is useful in observing or focusing on an object from multiple sources of observation and target waves for superposition, resonance, beamforming, etc. So, if you have questions and comments, please send to this email ID vnsastri@idirbd.ec.in or vnarsimhasastri@gmail.com.